Hey guys, so we're in the middle of a high-rise company meetup here in Chicago. We just actually had the whole team over here for dinner at our house. Somebody asked recently, they're 46 and they have a 2-year-old daughter, and they asked the best way of kind of getting into programming. And so I thought this was a really great question to ask the engineering team while they were over here. Michael Dwan, he's the CTO of High-Rise, and two engineers, Ryan Brunner and John Finau, really great engineers. Excellent. So I thought they'd have really interesting ideas on how to get into programming at 46. He's 46 years old. I don't know what he does now, but he's a 2-year-old daughter, so he doesn't have a lot of time on his hands. He wants to learn how to program. He's asking me what language and where would he start? What would you guys do? If you're 46 years old, you got a 2-year-old, so you obviously know what's going on there, it's not like, he's going home and probably playing with his kid and having dinner and stuff. What do you do if you want to start learning to program at 46 in a situation like that? You start learning React, Rails, what do you start with? Mobile stuff?
Mobile, Rails and mobile?
HTML if you don't know that, right?
Oh yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah, basic website.
That's going to be the biggest bang for the buck. Learn how to use, frankly, WordPress.
Yeah,
maybe doing some WordPress programming, making sites with WordPress,
right?
And that's PHP, right? And just
you don't have to really program the PHP,
but you could get there if you wanted to, and that would give you some of the skills. But yeah, you could just do HTML, or you could do some PHP, But yeah, in terms of being able to accomplish something, because even Rails, you'd have to do a fair amount of work to get something
scaffolded. You can make a thing. You can put your name in and hit save, and then refresh it over there, and it shows up. That's kind of a nice gratification.
Yeah. My idea was maybe he should just focus on making something for his daughter to use. Maybe it would give him a little bit of I don't know, push to get something done versus just screwing around.
I mean, not React. React is too much.
Yeah.
You should know how to do something in the back end.
Yeah.
You should know HTML and a good bit of JavaScript inside.
Right.
Even like that.
React.
Make a make a resume in HTML and CSS.
Yeah.
That's
because you're gonna need to know that anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I forgot about that. That's
it's an interesting start. Focus on the resume.
Just make something in HTML and then HTML, CSS. Because then once you know that, then you know what if you do go to Rails or WordPress,
you're not losing anything. Yeah, you're going to need to know.
Now instead of you doing it, something else you're writing code that writes it, which I think that's the next push.
Interesting.
I would not do JavaScript.
Would you take any of these coding boot camps?
No.
You taught a coding boot camp.
I teach currently teach a coding boot
But it's okay to have a difference of opinion. This is healthy.
But are those guys looking for a career in it and they're younger?
We don't even know if this guy's looking for a career. I'm not even sure.
There can be value in taking a course. I wouldn't take a boot camp unless you professionally want to do it. And even taking a course, I'd say what a course gives you, you're not going to learn. There's not any information you're going to get from a course that you couldn't look up yourself.
It's nice and focused with a curriculum.
It's focused, and if you need the motivation of having assignments and a structure and someone to ask questions of.
I was thinking of the Udemy. What are those things where you can go online and
Codecademy.
Yeah, something where it's just take the steps yourself. So then it's today we're going to build something. And
if you're disciplined enough to go through that, then sure. I find most people, the reason they take our courses at HackerU is because, frankly, they just need to have that push.
A person there.
Here's the structure you have to go through at this pace. It's the same reason you take yoga classes instead of it's not hard to sit at home and do yoga yourself, right? But having the motivation that you have to go every class is
I would say more than anything, when people say they want to learn how to program, I would sort of ask why. So I think there's a lot of technically obvious reasons of why you would want to learn how to program. There's jobs and there's fun things you can do and it looks cool. But for as much as possible, and I think I try to do this all the time, but basically try to find ways to scratch your own itch and look for ways that you can solve that. And I think the programming and all the things that you have to do as a result of that sort of come when you try to treat it as a programming problem. You can make solutions for the problems that you have.
Yeah.
So when I have a bunch of friends who have thought about doing it, and they say, well, I have a full-time job and a family and stuff, and I don't really want to spend time to do it. And a lot of times I say, well, like, what in your day-to-day job could you automate that you're not automating?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't have to be really code, but like looking for ways to sort of program your way out of your daily job
Totally.
in some ways.
Totally.
And that'll teach you a lot
To
about
build your replacement.
Right. Yeah. Or build in time in your day job to take programming classes.
So it's interesting. So I mean, I totally agree. So we've talked about like making a resume in some foundational aspects of like HTML and CSS, scratching your own itch. Yeah, like build something that's going to mean something for you to get out of a hole. We've talked about like coding boot camps and stuff. What about just language specific? Like, should you go to mobile development and start learning iOS, or should you, like Objective-C, or should you go to, should you go to Ruby, or should you go to Java and try to make Android apps, or PHP? Like, is there a language that a beginner should kind of flock to these days? C#?
Ruby is still really good though, because the problem is like
Ruby's
I'm
a
thinking
really
of
good
like
beginner
if you're doing mobile. I mean, even beside you have to know, like you've got files saved on a computer. You push a button and a bunch of stuff happens that hopefully works out okay. And now the thing is running. And if anything goes wrong in that process, like how much time would it take to get like a JavaScript React app set up, or even like a WordPress install? That's where I think
it's not hard today.
you know what you're
and
doing.
You have like a really tight, nice feedback loop, whereas like a mobile app, like even if you get it done and like okay, you can deploy it to your device, like.
There's all the
I'm saying, but on the other side, even before you run it, where it's like, okay, so what GCC? I need GCC. So, okay, got to do build essentials. Hold on, I need homebrew, but hold on, to do homebrew, I've got to do sudo. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you remove
doing
all that
things in
stuff.
JavaScript, doing things in Ruby are both pretty easy these days.
Ruby
like
has a
setting that up.
package you download. It uses
Yeah.
SQLite as a database. I wouldn't touch mobile unless you were.
Yeah.
Node
You already got
generally
that.
has very few problems, and like stuff like Create React App makes things really easy. WordPress, there's a billion ways to install WordPress
Right.
fairly simply. So yeah, that's the easiest to get started.
There's also tools online, like the online editors, where you can like what Heroku was supposed to do when it first came out. Like
Right.
you create a new thing and you just hit save, and it kind of like CodePen, but like
Right.
a persistent thing.
Is
I would just try to
Firebase
minimize-
like that these days? I mean, because you get the back end, isn't it? Aren't you just interfacing with JavaScript these days?
think
I don't know enough
What you're
about
missing
Firebase.
is like there's so many things, or you like all of us, there's so many pieces there that you take for granted, like set up, make, and rake, and just update, build essentials. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's there. That's what I mean. It's like the water, air. We don't notice it. But I think that you get tripped up on that stuff when you're coming from so you want to program, and it's like, okay, well,
Right.
what's
I mean,
the foundation?
Another thing that would be like interesting for like just like completely from scratch, and like you don't have like big objectives like I want this to be a career, I just want to like learn programming as like a self hobby or interest. Like one thing that'd be interesting is like Arduino maybe.
Oh,
Because
that's
it's, like,
interesting.
Really simple programming.
Yeah,
You're programming
yeah.
in C, which is like not the easiest language in the world, but you're
Yeah.
doing very simple
Yeah.
C programs. And
Yeah.
it's like it's very rewarding because you're making something physical that's actually
Yeah.
gonna work.
pretty simple
Oh, that's
ways to
true.
use different, like, I think, don't they have like JavaScript and Python running for Arduino?
I'm just using the default stock thing, which is C, but like
But I
frankly like the level of C you're doing, like it's not that much more complicated than
Yeah.
JavaScript. Arduino's amazing. Like we bought the starter kit and it was like $50. And you get like so many sensors, and like my 4-year-old does the wiring and I do the programming because
Yeah.
it's not at the level where you can do
Yeah.
the programming. But
Yeah.
you could write like a 10-line program and we made like a monster detector where it's like an ultrasonic sensor that detects distance, and then like it will make like alarm bells sound whenever someone walks in front of it. And like you write 10 lines of programming to do that, and it's like cool. It's like actually a legit thing, you know?
Swift Playgrounds. That's what I was looking at. You go download Xcode. So the other thing is like, wait, what are you trying to do here? For loops, if, switch, else. So with Swift Playgrounds, there's like a monster stuck on a hill, and it's kind of like all of this stuff. You can do it on an iPad or your iPhone or something,
Oh.
and it's got an editor and like a playground on the side, and like there's a monster on it, and you
Yeah.
program to get to like. So think about this, where it's like you got a maze, a simple maze. You have to move to those tiles, so it's like move right, move down, move down, move down. But you could then say, okay, well, what about if you were to say like, can move right, while can move right, keep going, and then you hit a wall, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's
a similar one is Ruby Warrior,
Yes.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You have, like, an online
Ruby
version.
Warrior.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that,
so you have
that's
to
really,
like
really
you
good.
basically write an AI essentially, right? Like you're walking through a maze, you have to like fight monsters and stuff, and you have to write the code to make those decisions. And it starts off with like walk right and you win, you know, and then it turns into like, well, now there's a monster in front of you. So if there's a monster in front of you, maybe you should attack it, right? And then
Cool.
it gets really complicated by the time you get like.
That's good though, because that means that you're cutting out all of what I was saying, all the build stuff and configuration stuff that you don't need. If you don't want to program, learn to program. That's the logic. If you want to build an app, once you do this, then it's like, okay, so now this infrastructure is there. Now you put that logic in to generate a list or a button, depending on whatever you need.
Cool. I hope that helps. I think they had a lot of great ideas, and I hope you were having a good week. We are here, and every day I upload a new video about talking about our business and just getting through life and all of these challenges. And if you get something out of it, please hit the thumbs up and please subscribe, and I will see you again tomorrow. Good night, everybody. Bye.